Welcome back in the fresh episode of Book Bro. And this episode is very unique because the writer is extremely popular, widely acclaimed author. He's Japanese and his name is Murakami. And I'm sure that you must have heard the names of either him or his books. There are several novels penned very beautifully by Murakami. And today I'm going to talk about one of the novels which I recently came across, the name of which is South of the Border and West of the Sun. The title is a bit oblong, but I think upon which we can dwell a little later. To begin with, Murakami is a Japanese writer with an international sensibility, if I may add to it. It's not a very Japanese sensibility which gets reflected in his writings. And I personally prefer his non-fiction. That's me. Like when the whole world is reading his novels again and again, I keep rereading his book on running, which is very interesting. It has an autobiographical element, and Murakami has tried to draw parallels between the creative process of writing and the actual process of running. Let me tell you that Murakami is a very widely acclaimed writer, and at the same time he is a very good marathoner as well. So the plot of this peculiar novel is quite easy and predictable at the same time. It's basically on the theme of an affair, if I may say, but superficially, if I may say. In my opinion, the central theme is about the awakening of sexuality of a man and the stages through which he evolves psychosexually, probably. So it's a man's journey into manhood and then supermanhood, probably, I don't know. But the thing is, the plot goes very simple. Hajime, a protagonist, a hero, he has a childhood friend whose name is Shimamoto, and obviously they like each other while they are kids, and they lose the touch, they lose the contact with each other. Let's come back to the several years later. By now, Hajime is a pro, I will say, in an art of lovemaking, in an art of physical intimacy with the woman. Lovely wife with 2 daughters. Now he's settled and he's running a jazz bar. He's listening to the music of the Nat Cole King all the time, and the title of this peculiar novel is drawn from one of the popular songs of Nat Cole King, which is South of the West, implying Mexico. So coming back to the plot, then comes Shimamoto again in his life. So this is a story of a young man in mid-30s who is falling in love very passionately with a woman who was once his childhood friend, who accidentally happens to meet him after several years. So now, as you can even clearly guess from this plot, that the novel has got many love scenes, sensuous scenes, and Murakami is not a kind of shy writer. He almost borders on the verge of erotica in this peculiar novel, if you ask me, at moments, but there is a reason why he dwells there and why he isn't shy about it. He's basically probably discussing how the man is sexually evolved. I feel the title of this peculiar novel could have been Murakami's Man, because it basically discusses how the man's sexuality is evolved and even at times shattered in the process of the entanglement of emotions as well as the physical desires. So this is a very universal kind of theme, and this doesn't stay Japanese at all, and that's why I always say that Murakami is a Japanese writer with international sensibility. So I didn't relate myself much to Murakami's Man. He's, in my opinion, bit hypersexual, if you ask me, but of course it's very hard to define and delineate the normal value of sexual activity, so you can't really predict that. But the scenes are quite bold, and especially I was intrigued by the first lovemaking scene in between Shimamoto and Hajime, the hero, because it's not a usual act of sex which probably could have been penned by any other author. It's in fact a stark contrast to the otherwise patriarchal tone of the novel. It's quite feminist take. It's about the realization of Shimamoto's fantasies while they make love for the very first time on the bed. So this is a novel about the physical desires, and of course, more than that, about the deep longing, the dark longing that stays, that resides within a man, even if he is technically settled. One of the interesting aspect of this novel, which I found, is how Murakami's man is present everywhere. So there is a scene where is Hajime's father-in-law, his wife's father, he discusses how a man should do affair in a while, and how it's healthy also, but he should choose the girl very carefully if he is going for some fun in his language. So this is very interesting. If this would have been a conversation between two men who are not related to each other, it would have been a different story. But we are talking of son-in-law and father-in-law, and that I think makes it pretty unique. Neither Murakami or nor his heroes, they are heartless, if you ask me, because they know the kind of plight they would be inflicting upon the woman in their life. So what happens to Hajime's wife, loving wife? Murakami writes her words and emotions this way. He writes, "I think you still love me, but we can't escape the fact that I'm not enough for you." I mean, this wife is saying in such a beautiful manner to the husband who has betrayed her that I think you still love me, but we can't escape the fact that I'm not enough for you. I knew this was going to happen, so I'm not blaming you for falling in love with another woman. I'm not angry either. I should be, but I'm not. I just feel pain, a lot of pain. I thought I could imagine how much this would hurt, but I was wrong. It's, I think, easy to talk about the ethics and values and all the social norms, but to dissect why minds can't come to those ethical norms is a Herculean kind of task, which Murakami has very effectively done in this peculiar novel. I won't say Murakami gives us any definite answers. No, but he raises questions very carefully. And the questions are also quite indefinite for that matter, but they are very potent, highly charged kind of questions. Reading this peculiar novel is basically about not thinking the logical fallacy of it, but trying to experience the kind of immense rain of emotions which this Murakami's man and his women, they experience in this peculiar novel. So I'm just going to read the last paragraph of this novel, which is quite prose poetry. Inside the darkness, I saw rain falling on the sea. Rain softly falling on a vast sea, with no one there to see it. The rain strikes the surface of the sea, and yet even the fish won't know it is raining, until someone came and rested a hand lightly on my shoulder. My thoughts were of the sea. So this kind of beautiful prose exactly tells us what Murakami is trying to bring out of this novel, and Murakami is basically drawing attention of the readers towards the sea of emotions that a man can go through in his mid-30s. So that's about this novel. You must read this novel. It's very interesting read, and especially I think men should read this novel. You may relate to it at least to some parts of it, though not all the parts. You may differ to it, differ to the conventional man probably which Murakami brings out of it at times. At least I felt so. His man is too conventional at times, but still nonetheless we all share some conventionality, all do men, and I think women should also read it because they come across their own men all the time. So a good read, and this is a very short and sweet episode of our Book Bro series. I was out of the town, I was immensely busy, but I'm keeping the promise of my delivery of episode on the time, and here is this Book Bro episode. Let's meet on next Wednesday, and till then, if you haven't, please do subscribe to Ashu's Tunes, that's the channel, like, comment and give me feedback. Bye.